Give me 1 second. We're just switching over to the audio format. Hello, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Wait, you're not hearing us through the headsets, though.
I can hear you.
Now try. There you go. Give it a go.
Hello, hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, Ron.
Okay, now I hear you.
Okay, hold on. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio on ESPN Radio 1700. Now, live in studio, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. Got a lot of fun going on today. Obviously, you can tell we've had some technical difficulties. As you know, you can obviously tell this is live radio. That's how you know it, is when you can see technical difficulties. You just can't mask them. They happen sometimes. They don't at others. We're going to kind of get all of our content in. We're going to cut out a little more of me and keep our guests right on track so we can have a good conversation this morning. Our guests, by the way, Anaheim Fire and Rescue Chief Randy Bruegman. Welcome.
Morning, Ron. How are you?
Wonderful. Now that we're broadcasting live and we've got everything up and running, sounding a little bit better. And repeat offender, David Meltzer, Sports One Marketing CEO. Good morning, David.
Always a pleasure to be here, my buddy. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful again. I think it's almost time for a little Keto One. It's got to be 5 o'clock somewhere.
Right on.
Boy, we got a lot to cover and not a lot of time, so we will get right into whatever we can cover this morning. How about this one? I've seen a lot in the news. I should go back to a story that we covered yesterday. And every once in a while, sometimes stories get past me. Haven't found out if this one is totally a hoax yet or not, but as of the time we broadcast yesterday, it was definitely something that was out in the public eye, this new California law about no bosses. David, you might enjoy this one. I don't know if you saw this. This came out of it was attributed to Assembly Speaker Tony G. Adkins. And the conversation was all about no more, what do they call it? No more titles. You heard that one, David? No more titles.
Oh, nice.
So you cannot, the article came out saying that we could not use the term supervisor, manager, overseer, team leader, producer, director, controller, chair, boss, captain, head person, head honcho, authority, chief, can't use that one,
Nice.
Chairperson, chairman, partner. Came out the story early yesterday. We reported on it. We try and bring the most current news.
You know, Ron, if you hate someone, and wish upon them overhead and employees, so this fits right in.
Boy, I guess we could really get into that one. That would really cause... So we don't know for sure. I don't want to give misleading information. There is some information out there that it may have been a hoax, and we may have been caught in it. I looked it up. The last I looked at Snopes, it was not there. There was nothing on the media saying that it was a hoax. But we will move right along. So buyer beware is the bottom line on that one. But in Huntington Park, I have seen this story in many areas. I don't know if you're catching this one. Only in the state of confusion can we do this. We've got 2 people illegally in the country have now been appointed by council member Johnny Pineda. He chose Francisco Medina and Julian Zatarian to lead 2 separate commissions within the city. Only problem is they are not legally in the country. Wonder how that happens. I don't know that one. But this is the state of confusion, so that can happen that way. Speaking of state of confusion, we have talked a little bit, every once in a while, about the Unaffordable Care Act. Now think about this one. Last week, the Inspector General for the Department of Health and Human Services revealed 22 of the 23 nonprofit co-ops suffered net operating losses last year, and 6 were so distressed, CMS said they were the subject to extra enhanced oversight. Again, where do you go with these? For from the administrator. I guess we're going to have to send some more of these companies more money. I've shared with you many, many times, only in federal government can we go and continue to spend the money that we do not have. Just print a little bit more. We're okay there. No problem. Moving right along. Well, Steve, you did give me some good information yesterday. We didn't get it in national gas prices. AAA, $2.70 a gallon. San Diego, I know you shared with me, $3.45. I think I paid $3.35 at Costco. $4.45 right across from the station in San Diego. GasBuddy.com, and I forgot the name. Steve, if you're there, you could pipe in with the name of the San Diego location to get the great gas prices. Maybe not. Maybe we don't have his mic turned on today.
GasPrices.com.
Say that again?
SanDiegoGasPrices.com.
Beautiful. SanDiegoGasPrices.com. Save a little money and go spend it over there at Petco Park. Have a good time. Moving right along, being that we are going to, if we can, Steve, I'm going to give you some live cues today, being that we are, again, fixing the errors from the broadcast. So let's see if we can dispense with some of our commercials right here in this first break, and we will go right into our conversation with our friend David Meltzer, Sports One Marketing. Whew.
Yeah.
You know something, we can talk to the chief in a minute about fire drills.
Are we allowed to call him the chief? We'll just call him Randy instead.
We got to be a little bit more formal, right?
Right on. Then you call me Sir David Meltzer.
Sir David Meltzer, okay. Well, being that you're going to, it must be it's all your fault. I didn't realize this before we got started. This wonderful monsoon weather, the heat and the humidity, this was brought in just to warm you up for your next trip.
Absolutely. Just get me in a transition to go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio.
It should be fun.
Oh, it's always a blast. I was actually born there, and
sorry.
Yeah, exactly. They're the best client that Warren and I have. These are special people, and for me, these are my childhood heroes. And so I get a little bit big-eyed. I get to experience the emotional irrationality of middle-aged men that I see all of my clients experience. And so I get 3 days combined with great food, my favorite hamburger place, Swenson's, which is an amazing place, as well as the Bridgestone, and get to walk a few with Tiger and talk with Donnie Wallace of the PGA. So very excited about going.
It's a tough life, but someone's got to do it, right?
That's right. Make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun.
I like that. I think I might borrow that once or twice.
It's all yours, buddy.
A day. Well, something, being that our flagship, ESPN San Diego, there's some exciting news that I had not heard till you got into the studio this morning, that they're actually going to do a live speech for Junior.
Yeah, so Sydney, his daughter, it was a real difficult situation for the Hall, because they set a precedent and a rule that any inductee that had passed away, the family members would be recorded. And it makes sense TV-wise as well, because this program is getting bigger and bigger. They're doing a $476 million development with David Baker, who's here from Orange County, actually. And it's going to be the Disney of football. I mean, it's an amazing attraction that they're building there. So to get the national publicity, they have to have a very tight program. But what they did is made an exception for Sydney, and they're going to allow her to present in person to all the thousands of people that'll be there, although she will have the recorded speech, his daughter, on the program that will be seen by millions. And I think it's a fair compromise. I also think they can relook at the rule. And the intent of the rule is interesting, because you have and always have these inductees. They try to put in the older players from the 60s. And what they're trying to avoid is a 70 or 80-year-old relative who may go on and on and on about a player that may not be as relevant as the great Junior Seau.
That makes a lot of sense, and obviously it's always difficult. Whenever you put in a rule, there's always the unintended. It's like laws out of Washington, right? Unintended consequences. You just never know. And I'm a big believer that regardless of which party, people always have the right intent. it's the method of getting there. Sometimes I do or don't agree with, but I think they're by and large people are good people.
Yeah, and I like the fact that the Hall of Fame compromised. Where I have difficulty in politics or in business is when people don't utilize a rational analysis of what's going on and give the other person their fair share of value and say, look, we can come to a compromise, we can come to an abundant, and what happens is the ego gets in the way, scarcity gets in the way, which is right in my book, right?
Right.
And the minute scarcity comes and gets involved, then everyone has a need to be right, which is definitely a need of the ego, that need to be right. All of a sudden we're in a competitive, separate, superior circumstance that creates nothing but loss. And what we look for, and the Hall of Fame looks for, is to create abundance and value, and that's what I think they did in this case.
Interesting, and you threw me a great segue right there, and I'm going to put you on the hot spot because it's not on our topic of conversation, but I'm going to throw it at you anyway because I know you can handle it. Compromise. I heard that August 12th is a big day for compromise, maybe, with the NFL and Tom Brady. Can you handicap that one for us?
Yeah, it is a big day for him, and once again, another issue is involved here with the NFL. And I try to train our guys for years in transitioning. It's accountability, and if you want to take the energy out of making a mistake, own it. Own the mistake. Nobody cares if you make a mistake. What they like and they care about is the lying.
Right.
The deception. In the media especially, they're like leeches in blood. I mean, they go after lying. The minute they see a hole, a shortage, a void, or an obstacle in your story, then every person in the media wants to break you down. And so, hopefully the brand of Tom Brady, all that he's done that is good, will allow the NFL to make a compromise in this case on August 12th. I think it's better for the game to make a compromise.
Sure.
But I also think that the biggest lesson, and I don't hear it a lot in the media, is why can't they just come out and talk about accountability? Why couldn't Tom Brady just at the very outset of the problem say, look, I didn't understand the severity of the rule. I like my ball a little bit soft, and I'm willing to take the punishment for what I did. Instead, text messaging, paying, all of the conspiracy that created Watergate occurred with Inflategate.
Sure.
And it was really the scarcity and the lying that people really love. And the accountability takes the energy right out of it.
Even more than taking the air out of the ball.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, I'm the lay person here, right? I mean, I'm just a sports fan.
You can see with that shirt, you should be that white shirt.
I'm just a sports fan, right? And I look at it and I say, and my kids love sports. I was at the Angel game last night. Finally, they won. But here's the thing. Some of the people that work for the teams, I feel that they're probably sports fans more than they're for a job. The guys that were in there that were carrying the balls and who allegedly let the air out of the balls, if they're the ones that did it, they're fans. They're not making the millions and millions of dollars that the athletes are, and they want their team to win more than anything.
Yep.
Is that fair?
Very fair. There's an irrationality, an emotional attachment to sports.
Right.
And my business is based off of monetizing that irrational behavior. Why somebody would pay thousands of dollars for a football that's signed.
Right.
It's irrational. It's not. So how do we take advantage of that? It's same thing in our business. Why the least paid employees are actually in sports. The lower levels.
Right.
Because they take advantage of the emotional attachment that I'll do anything, I'll work for free. Right? I'll work for free just to be on the sidelines of a New England Patriot game.
Exactly.
And I'll do whatever Brady asked me to do to win.
Right. And those young men that are implicated here, somebody told them to do that, or they might have got the impression from somebody that would give their team an advantage.
Absolutely.
Somehow, some way, they thought their team was going to get an advantage, and that's why it happened. And if somebody up above just said, something, we asked them to bring it down to the minimum, maybe it went a little too far, maybe they get a game or two, and this is history 3 or 4 or 5 months ago.
Oh, yeah, history. And ESPN would be talking about some other tragedy of someone else lying.
Exactly. They might even be talking about the California law A.B. 202 signed by Jerry Brown. Now, this one might be an interesting one. Professional cheerleaders are now recognized as employees, not contractors.
Oh, yeah. You would not believe how little these women get paid. I was amazed. Friends, my executive assistant was a Charger cheerleader. She's now a Seahawks cheerleader, and she's amazing. But when she told me how little, at the time, she was paid $75 a game. So she's on the sidelines, 60,000 people, 75, and and they practice 3 times a week for 4 hours, and then they go to the game, which is their entire Sunday. They don't travel, right? They only did the home, and they get $75 as a contractor a game.
Unbelievable. So basically, I'm just doing a little quick math. If they're there for 5 hours for the game, that's what, $15 an hour?
Yeah.
And then they're not getting anything for the practice time.
Correct.
That's and they get the right, and they all try out for that. It goes back to what we were just saying about with the footballs, right?
Yeah.
The lowest paid people. They get thousands of people trying out to be paid nothing.
Yeah, well, and originally, these cheerleaders could commiserate and commensurate with the players, so they had a chance of marrying a millionaire,
right?
or at least they had some, and they do still. They get modeling jobs and exposure and awareness and profile building from it, so they actually get more than the ball boy gets.
Okay,
but they don't get paid a lot, and I think it is fair that they are part of the team. They should, be sharing in the abundance, because there are people that go to the game and literally watch the cheerleaders.
Well, the whole thing of the football game, and again, I'm going to defer to you, but I'm going to tell you from my business side of my mentality, football is nothing more than entertainment, right? I mean, that game, whether the Rams win or the Chargers win or whoever your favorite team is, if they win or lose, but at the end of the game, my life goes on. Not a thing changes. There's a bunch of idiots out in the parking lot that think it does and get in fights.
Yep.
But it's just entertainment.
And it's the best entertainment we have. It's the original reality TV. That's why people love the B-roll. They love the stories. They love the lying. They love the sex, the drugs, the rock and roll that is included. But it's the best TV we have. Stat for you that the Hall of Fame told me, 45 of the top 50 TV programs last year were NFL games, including number 1, which was the Super Bowl. Now, I think Caitlyn Jenner may have beat him out this year. Well, that Super Bowl is going to be close. But imagine that. 45 of the best TV shows are just NFL games.
And I would bet the other 4 or 5 have something to do with one of the sports that I really don't watch.
Right. Yeah, like the Masters maybe.
No, I love the Masters. No, I was thinking, isn't soccer in there somewhere?
You know what? Olympic women's soccer actually just set a record, which I'm really happy about, because I think that sport is about to take off television-wise in America.
What more could you ask for than a bunch of ladies running up and down the field, pitch, or whatever they call it, in shorts? I mean...
And it's competitive, and they're great athletes. And
I know nothing about it.
And they got their scandals too, right?
Right.
Cahoon Solo punching somebody. It's amazing. Once they get into
And what about the management of FIFA? I mean, there's no scandals there, is there?
Yeah, right. The cleanest sport in the history of sport.
There's more there than we could possibly even talk about. Adrian Peterson, is he coming back?
Oh, yeah. He returns at the Hall of Fame game, and I think you will see what an exceptional athlete Adrian Peterson is. And, unfortunately, he made a mistake and he owned up to it.
Right.
And you could see through the history of how he was brought up why he made that mistake.
Right.
He didn't blame it. He just said, "Look, this was my perspective, and I fully understand now. This is what I did." And
it's probably because he's a public person. I mean, I'm the first to admit that I was raised with a strong father.
Yep.
And I'm proud of it. And my dad was proud of it, and I raised my boys the same way. Applied psychology works.
But you're lucky. I have to admit, I grew up with a single mom who was a school teacher and never touched me, but I would gladly trade.
Now we know the problem.
Yeah, exactly. My wife says the same thing. The problem with Dave is his mom never hit him, but I would trade any day getting spanked for the Jewish guilt that she gave me. Any day of the week. I'd much rather be spanked. It's shorter, it's less oppressive. Yeah, so I'd much rather get, even with a stick, I think.
Okay, Mom, now I understand, because I got both. I got the Jewish guilt.
Oh, no. No wonder you're such a good guy.
I don't know about that, but we'd give it a shot. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, Anaheim Fire and Rescue Chief Randy Bruegman's got some special information for us. We're going to learn about Ready, Set, Go. I wonder what that's all about. There's a grand opening coming, or maybe a ribbon cutting even. We'll see if we can break some news on all of that. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, it's 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Remember, stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Siegel Lending Team offers you buying power. Let's say you can afford a monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest. Hello.
My favorite.
Hello there.
Hello there.
He puts on.
Okay, so we're going with the second break.
Yes.
Blowing out the first one like you said.
Yep.
So this is a 2.5-minute break.
Perfect.
So, are you going to end up trying Skype again the next half hour, or are we just going to stick with the phone?
We're going to just stick with this one right here as we go.
Okay. Alrighty.
Thank you, sir.
It's interesting about the first break because at one point, because I was running out of extra commercials to run except for our ESPN commercials
Right?
here locally, and I thought about running commercials from your first break, but I didn't.
That's okay. We're good.
Yeah, I'm glad we're good now.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, buddy.
All right. So we got 90 seconds here.
Thank you.
All right. To call in Orange County for their personal and professional needs. Why do they overwhelmingly call Melinda Johnson? Simple. It's the Melinda Johnson trifecta. Melinda is an attorney, real estate broker, and realtor. Does your family deserve the same professional services California lawyers demand? Call Melinda Johnson at 714-863-5485. That's 714-863-5485. Or on the web at freedomfirstproperties.com.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel Lending Team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel Lending Team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel Lending Team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national. Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today brought to you by Commerce for a Cause. It's one of our near and dear segments, Commerce for a Cause. You have a small business. You probably collect credit cards. You're paying a credit card processing fee. Well, let me ask you this question. How much of a rebate are they giving to your favorite charity from that processing fee? I suggest probably nothing. You probably don't even get a thank you note from the processing company at the end of the year. They just take your money. Commerce for a Cause, they will match your fees in most instances and then donate 20% to the charity or charities of your choice. Love helping out the community. Join me in this Commerce for a Cause. No, I don't own the company. I just think they're a great service, and you should be checking them out as well. Pending home sales, they remain strong in June. The National Association of Realtors Pending Home Sales Index, forward-looking indicator based on contract signings. That doesn't mean they closed. Higher the pending home sales index number, the more contracts have been signed by buyers that will soon translate into sales. So if you're thinking about buying a house or actually selling your house, the issue here is people are out there shopping. They're out there buying. There is more demand than supply. If you remember your Economics 101, when there is more demand than supply, prices generally go up, especially when we are in this strong interest rate environment that we are in today. Just a thought for you. That's the real-time real estate segment, again brought to you by Commerce for a Cause. So we get to chat this morning with Anaheim Fire and Rescue Chief Randy Bruegman. Good morning.
Morning, Ron. How are you?
We're doing great here today, having a little bit of fun chatting about everything we can find to do.
That's going to be hard to follow David up.
That's a layup.
Don't tell him that. I'm gonna have to pay him more. I'm gonna have to double his salary here.
He deserves it.
Well, at least I can do that math. 2 times 0. Okay, I'm still
100 times 0. You're
still within the budget here.
Anytime.
Appreciate it. So hot weather.
Hot and dry.
Hot and dry. We had a little bit of rain, though. Does that mean anything at all in fire season?
No, it really doesn't. It was a great rain, but it bought us a couple of weeks, raised the moisture a little bit on the light fuels. But just to give you some context of what's going on in the state right now, we have 14 major fires going on up north. We have about 22, 23 people that have been deployed from our department. They're up there. They've actually went from one fire to another. So as they get a handle on one, they're being redeployed. So right now there's about 10,000 firefighters that are assigned to those fires. And just to give you some context, over 750 engines, 193 hand crews have been deployed, over 50 aircraft, and we also have help coming in from Nevada. So, and that just blew up in the last probably week and a half.
What does that mean in context, though? Because, I mean, I had heard recently on an interview, and I don't know whether it's accurate or not, that most of the work that's done through the fire departments is more on the rescue side than on fighting fires. Is that accurate?
It is. Depends on how you term rescue, but we run about 31,000 emergency calls every year. About 85% of those are medical. So
wow.
We have paramedics on every one of our pieces of equipment except for one, and that will become a 2-person medic unit in December. So we'll have medics that respond. Anytime you get one of our rigs, you're going to have 2 medics on it. And so we've seen a real shift in the last 10 years from what our business is. I mean, we do still a lot of structural firefighting, a lot of wildland firefighting, and of course rescues. We probably run 6 or 8 major accidents every day on the freeways here.
And that's all done based on the cities handle the freeways.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, I didn't realize that. Is there any difference now as we transition? I know that we were talking before the show that at the Ready Set Go event that we're going to talk about, that they've got some a display on drought tolerance. Does that have any bearing on brush fires or fire? How does that affect?
Yeah, it sure does. And in fact, the whole Ready, Set, Go program is really focused on that first emphasis, getting ready. And part of that is just having the right plantings around your home. So the succulent plants actually don't burn as rapidly, as hot, and as intense as some of the things that we have planted around our home now. So to go back in and replace some of your vegetation in and around your home, especially if you're in an urban interface area like Anaheim Hills, it's extremely beneficial to us. But also part of that process is to create buffer zones around your house and to make sure that if you're living by a hillside or adjacent to a park where there's a lot of vegetation, that you create a buffer zone of about 100 feet. That gives us time in the event that we do have a wildfire. And we've had, I think, 3 in the last month just along the 241 and the 91.
Wow.
And so we're prime ready to go for a major wildfire here. So I'm just hoping by the time we get into late October, early November, that we're starting to see some of the rain that they're talking about with the El Nino. We're hoping that occurs so that it lowers our risk.
Now, when you talk about the El Nino event that is being, I mean, it's almost, I've never seen predictions. Usually I dealt back in the 80s, I went to Chapman College, and we did a lot of forecasting in the economics area. You never hear forecasts saying 95% probability, and they're talking 95% probability of a major El Nino event. What's that going to do for the rescue and needs of the communities?
Well, I think we're almost talking out of both sides of our mouth here, because we're saying on one hand, let's get ready for wildfire because it could be a really significant year. And it already is proving to be that way up north. And typically what happens is it starts in the north and then it moves to the south. And so we anticipate that will happen. But with El Nino coming and just the amount of rain that is projected, one of the things that homeowners need to do is prepare their home for that as well. So make sure that your drains have been cleaned out, that your gutters are clean, that your downspouts are cleaned out and well attached and everything, so they don't blow off during a heavy rain. That the gutters in and around your subdivisions are cleaned out, and I know the city's moving forward with doing a little bit more effort there. So you have to look at it from both sides. You have to look at it from, I'm preparing for a major wildfire season, but in the event that doesn't happen, or if it does happen, we may turn around and get flooded.
Yeah, and that the whole idea, and I love that idea that you're sharing, because you just mentioned it again, that the most important part, or maybe the key component of Ready, Set, Go is ready.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
And going and find, so the event that's coming up, and I think I've got it October 17th, Fire Station, every time I look at the numbers, I think it's Fire Station 10, but I always think of the song, was it Fire Station number 9 or something? Was that old song? But what is that all about? What are they, helping us, what are they promoting for us there?
Well, we've actually been working about the last year and a half, and it will be constructed by October 17th, but we brought partners together throughout the community to build a fire-safe garden, and including a fire-safe demonstration house. So we have builders that have come on board, and landscapers and arborists to help us put an actual garden in that you can come look at and say, this is the type of plants that we should use around our homes here to lower our fire risk. And then look at the construction methods that are used, the siding and the type of windows and the vents that you should have on your roof. Interestingly enough, a lot of the fire spread in the wildland fire isn't direct impingement from fire. It's actually the embers blowing into your attic through your vents. Because fire actually creates a lot of times its own wind, its own updraft, because of the convection that's occurring with the fire. So you get a lot of wind in and around a fire, and it blows embers. It can blow embers a mile or two. So if you have the right vents, there's actually vents that are designed that won't allow the embers to penetrate into your attic. And we see a lot of homes. The last time we had the major fire here, I think it was in 2008-9, the freeway fire, where we actually saw the homes burn from the top down, not from the bottom up.
Interesting. So, that's obviously something that we really want to be promoting within the real estate community also, is, hey, get out there and let's look at the, I think it's kind of interesting, because obviously leading a lending company or a lending team, we always look at, or one of the biggest keys that we see on our appraisals is we need to make sure there's a fire detector, a CO2 detector, and double strapping of the water heater.
Yeah.
They never mention anything about making sure that screening on the attics is protected.
Yeah, it's really critical, especially in this area. So that would be something that if you can promote, that would be great.
Yeah, it's because I always, my belief is that I like to see the firemen at the fire station and at events like this and thank them for their service. Unfortunately, we get to see them in action. And they're great people, and we appreciate what they do, but it'd be much nicer to see them on the trucks.
That's correct. The worst thing you can see is when we roll up the front of your house with our lights on.
Right.
Because usually it doesn't mean you're having a good day.
and for the kids, I think last year at the Ready, Set, Go event, the kids got to see a lot of the equipment, and because as youngsters, a lot of us, that's what we aspire, is to be a fireman, policeman. Got to see some of the equipment out there.
Yeah, we'll have several pieces of equipment, both of our Type 1, which is our urban engines, and then the Type 3s, which are designed to go on the wildland. And then we'll have a couple of special visitors, of course, Smokey Barrel make an appearance, and Captain Detector, and so it'll be a fun day. As we look to this year, one of the services that we offer is actually a home visit, and you can request through giving us a call. We'll send out an inspector, and they'll do a wildland urban interface assessment of your home and give you recommendations on how you can make it safer. And if you don't live in that area, if you just live downtown, we also have a home safety visit program. So you can call. We'll come and do an assessment on your home. If you have smoke detectors that are outdated, we will replace your smoke detectors before we leave, and we'll provide any other information. And you can get that service if you just call 714-765-4040, and we'll set up an appointment, and somebody will come out and help you out.
Beautiful, and we're going to look and see if we can get that information put right there on our Facebook page as well, because you love seeing that's the type of truck that we want to see, is the ones that come out and do those home inspections. Especially, I know that a lot of the seniors that we've talked to from time to time, they take advantage of that one as well. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, More with the chief and with the CEO. I don't know if we're allowed to say CEO, but
Or the chief.
I mean, I'm not sure we can say either one. David and Randy, we'll be back with them when we can. You can reach me, though, at any time at our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter, @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Do you have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership? What if your home was valued at $500,000?
$2,500 every month, $30,000 per year. The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call Ron Siegel at 1-800-306-1990. 1-800-306-1990. Pending a team account for your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send you a no-obligation mortgage adoption plan. You can judge if it's right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy of your mortgage statement by email to NAP@RonSiegelRadio.com, or call today Ron Siegel, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change, class notified by the California Partner Corporation in the last 217037 and retail BRE number 0186945.
Are you also liking to see home? Would you like to pay someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. Why is it going wrong? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change by notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or
Sponsored by any government agency.
Homeowners that are 62 and older are about to find out a great way to live a better retirement. It's called a reverse mortgage, and SLT can help you learn more. Call the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990 right now to receive your free booklet with no obligation. It answers questions like how a reverse mortgage works, how much you qualify for, the ways to receive your money, and more. When you call the experts at Siegel Lending Team today, you'll learn the benefits of a government-insured reverse mortgage, how it will eliminate your monthly mortgage payments, and give you tax-free cash from the equity in your home. Here's the best part. You still own your home. Now is the best time to take control of your retirement. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 to get your free brochure. Call today or visit our website at SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com, or simply call 800-306-1990.
The experts at Energy 4Biz can help your business understand California's new energy rates. Call 800-336-7343 or visit SDGE.com/4Biz.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. We will give you an abbreviated Your Credit Matters segment today, brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. You have a credit report, it's wrong. Every one of them are wrong. We've been telling that to people for as long as I can remember. I haven't seen a completely accurate credit report in all the years that I've been looking at reports. That's going back to the 90s. I've never seen a completely accurate credit report. Never. So what makes you think yours is the first? CreditSanitizer.com. They have the solution. Here's a couple of items that will help you get your credit scores enhanced or do better. Obviously, number one, pay your bills on time. 35% of your FICO score comes from the method of paying your bills. Now, remember, FICO, F-I-C-O. Vantage is spelled F-A-C-O. FACO, don't look at the FACO scores. Those don't do you any good. Check your reports on a regular basis. Get a real FICO report. The free ones, they're not real. They're FACOs. Don't apply for multiple credit cards at one time. That will hurt your scores. Don't cancel unused credit cards. If they have a big fee on them, do it strategically. But every time you cancel an older credit card, it's going to hurt your score. It sounds counterintuitive, but it hurts your scores just because it is diminishing the age, the average age of your credit cards. It's diminishing the availability of credit. That accounts between those two, 65% of your score. Don't open too many credit cards at once. Keep balances low. Be aware of points-driven high balances. That'll cause you a problem if you're using too much utilization. Maintain a variety of credit types. Pay off debt in collections. Be careful of that one. If it's an old debt and you pay it off, it will hurt your score. Think about that. It's counterintuitive. Paying off an old debt re-ages it. After bankruptcy, get a secured credit card. That will help you. There are just a few of the tips. If you need some information on it, your consumer advocate is more than happy to share. That would be me, 800-306-1990. And when you want to get your report corrected, creditsanitizer.com. Continuing our conversation, Anaheim Fire and Rescue Chief Randy Bruegman is in the house. Sports One Marketing CEO David Meltzer is in the house. Wanted to throw this out there just so I can share a little bit. Obviously, when it comes to fire, police, it's a difficult job, and many times we take for granted the service of the men and women in the departments. And I'm sitting here across the desk from the chief, and I see he's got, unfortunately, one of those black ribbons on your badge today. Can you share with us?
Yeah, we had a young fire captain, federal firefighter, in one of the fires up north that was overrun by a fire a couple days ago and lost his life. He was out on a recon mission. They had sent 4 people out, and he didn't return, so they found him the next morning. Married to 2 young children, and so anytime that happens with a firefighter, whether they're from the state or not, within the state, then we always honor their loss and their families by wearing the band on our badge until the end of the memorial service.
It's amazing. It brings back the harsh reality. I mean, it's obviously many of us watch this on the news, and you hear all these things that the firefighters are doing, and it is the harsh reality that the men and women are out there. They're brave people doing a very, very difficult, very, very dangerous job, and they're doing it, and we have to say thank you.
Well, we appreciate that. It's an honor to be able to wear the uniform and to serve every day, but it is dangerous, unpredictable. I mean, when you're going out, especially in the wildland, fire behavior is significantly different than what we typically see in a structure fire, and even though that can be unpredictable as well. So even though we're well trained and we have good equipment and good command and control, sometimes the event horizon that you are in is limited, and sometimes things happen that are outside of your control. So.
And maybe we'll be able to get some information down the road. I know, being that it's something very, very recent, if there is a memorial fund, if we can get that information so we can post that.
Yeah, we'll get that to you.
We it's just a matter of saying thank you.
Yeah,
I mean, and there's a family right there that, I speak to a lot of police officers, and they say the number one, and I would imagine the same for fire, is the most important thing when the police officer and firefighters leave their house in the morning is to come home to their family at night.
Yeah, that's really true, and there's been a real emphasis in the fire service, I know, just with the focus on everybody goes home.
Right.
And everybody goes home is not only about just working your shift and being able to go home, but it's also about taking care of yourself. And so we see a lot of fires that succumb on the fire ground or during an emergency incident because of heart attack and things like this, because it's a stressful job, and especially as you get to be my age, when you're thrown on 60, 70 pounds and you're, going up and down a roof. I don't do that anymore, but I still have folks that do. And so it's, it's a very demanding job. So we're focusing much more on preventive health and maintenance and, strength and agility and some of those things that we had before.
Interesting. And you've got a new program coming up, CCRU.
Yeah, with 85% of our calls being medical, one of the things that we started to research when we did our strategic planning process about 3.5 years ago was what the healthcare Act was going to do to emergency medical services. And there's a big push to not take people to the emergency department. And we take a lot of people every year to the emergency department because that's the only place we can take them. We can't take them to an urgent care or some other place, although that's being explored as well. So we decided to implement a paramedic captain and a nurse practitioner. A nurse practitioner is just one level below a physician. And so what we're being able to do now is treat and release many of the things that we would have had to, or many of the medical emergencies that we would have had to take to the emergency room, like minor suturing. A nurse practitioner can give some medications, can do some diagnostic in the field, can also get directly to the primary care physician and or specialized physician, have a consult while they're in the field, and often they're treating people and leaving them in their home and then following up with them the next day. So we think this has a real advantage to not only the healthcare system but also to the resident, because if you've ever been in the emergency department,
not fun.
No, I mean it takes a long time.
People get sick to go there.
Yes, and there's a lot more use of the emergency department now than there was a couple of years ago. So we're seeing wait times in the emergency departments of 5, 6, 7 hours.
Wow. That ought to help everybody then. Cut down some costs.
Yeah, I think we're hoping that it reduces the overall cost of the system, but actually provides better service to the end user, and that's you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great information. Appreciate you coming in and sharing. Maybe we can get a little scoop, an inside scoop. There's a lot of construction going on. Obviously, we know the construction needs from the fire departments, but how about they're going to have maybe a new stadium in San Diego? Is it going to happen?
It's a possibility.
I like that, a definite maybe.
A definite maybe, for sure. And it depends on the city and the team and who's willing to put up the dollars. Hopefully these fire departments can save enough money for the city so something really important can forget saving lives, right? Let's watch some football in San Diego. Right. So we're extremely grateful. And I know, one of the things I love about sports are the character and integrity that's involved in athletes are very similar to those of firemen and policemen, and those they actually have a service-oriented attitude, and because they are entertainers, but they also are putting their life on the line, not to nearly the degree of a fireman or a police officer, but if you go to the Hall of Fame and you realize that the average age of a Hall of Famer is 58 when they pass away, and you see people that can't remember.
Look, isn't the average age of all football players 58, not just a Hall of Famer?
Correct, yeah.
Even if you don't make it, even if you're not good.
Right, and some of those guys only played 2.5 years in pro, right, but they played college and Pop Warner in high school. But in no way am I making that comparison. But what I would like to say is these athletes to the community, everyone will tell you that the NFL provided so much hope and inspiration when they started playing again to our country after 9/11. And we lost more service people in 9/11 than anything in the history of our country. But it means a lot to us. So the investment from the city, it might be a joke, or the investment of the Spanos family, who's extremely abundant, it means a lot to that city, to everyone that lives there, to inspire them to have the best city in the country. I grew up in San Diego, so I'm hoping they can get the deal done. Warren and I are also helping with the Carson Project, so we're a little bit hypocritical, and I live right in between the Carson Project and San Diego, so I really...
So either way, you're going either way.
I'm winning, as usual. As usual, I'm winning either way. But we're extremely grateful at Sports One Marketing. Warren and I do a lot for the service industry and have.
Well, that's what I love about Sports One, and that's our relationship, is the fact that Sports One, it's so focused on giving to the communities, and we don't hear that a lot of times. We hear, what makes the president did make this, if it bleeds, it leads. You know, and when you hear the Inflategate and you hear these different issues, you hear a lot about those things. You don't hear enough about the men and women in professional sports that really are giving to the communities because it's not sexy, so to speak.
Yeah, and there's way more athletes that give back than don't.
Right.
Exponentially. And, I had Sterling Sharp on my show on Angels Radio yesterday, and the amount of things, his whole life is dedicated to giving back to the community. My partner, Warren Moon, his entire life, if you look at his calendar, it's all about how much money he can raise for others.
Great information.
It really is.
Be sure to set that first radio preset button to come back here every day to join Ron Siegel Radio. Hopefully we will get our technical problems corrected for tomorrow. Thanks to the chief and the CEO. And remember, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun, have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.